I hadn't realised we'd gone over the VAT threshold. I hadn't realised that for 9 months, and I was expecting to pay a bill of £20,000. Oh, what another stunning day here in sunny South Wales. Right, before I shoot off, I just wanted to check in with you and tell you a story about my VAT, my story of a VAT registration, how I missed the VAT threshold, how much it ended up costing me, and hopefully it won't happen to you. Now, I've always said on this channel, it's about gardening, the ups and downs of business, and this wasn't something I was going to put out there. A bit like airing your dirty washing, a bit embarrassing as well, really, but it's a story you might like, you might get a chuckle out of it. But if you are going through the whole VAT registration process and you're nearing it, or you want to know what happens, this is what happened to me, and it's a story. Now, let me start a few years ago, and by a few years ago, let's call it pre-COVID. And the world then was a whole different place, a much more sensible place, a cheaper place in my opinion. Now, the VAT threshold has been £85,000. It's recently gone up to 90 for quite a few years. It hasn't gone up with inflation. In my mind, it should go up pretty much with inflation. It's been fairly easy to stay underneath it because any kind of landscaping jobs, I'd get the customer to buy the materials, so I wouldn't have to kind of fork out for that. So most of our stuff was just labour. So we was underneath it for years. Ever since we started a limited company, we'd stay under VAT. It was something I was worried about, and each year I would do a kind of a running total. Never like month on month, because that's the way you're meant to do it, but I knew if like at the end of our financial year we was under it, that would average out, and has averaged out that we were under it. So what went wrong? Well, let me tell you, as I mentioned, COVID. Everything went up in price. Tools, fuel, everything went crazy. VAT threshold didn't go up. Now, we were charging more. I had things going on in my personal life that kind of took my eye off the accounts, and also I was putting energy into work to kind of deal with that, to get away from a few things. So I was turning over a little bit more. And when I did a few landscaping jobs, I just got the stuff and kind of got them done, got out the way. I just cracked on. So our financial year runs from the start of April to the end of March. That's our financial year. Kind of February, I'd looked at the figures. Yeah, we were under the VAT threshold. Perfect, let's just carry on. It's winter. Let's just get a bit more work in, send the accounts in. Accountant will sort it out, job done. Or so I thought. Now, a couple of things happened in March, middle of March. We had a debtors list of maybe £3,000, and the companies and the people that were kind of had money that was ours that hadn't been paid into the account, all of a sudden dropped it all in. We also had a few kind of properties that I'd done through the year that were done, the properties were under probate, which basically means you don't get your money until that house is sold, the will is read, and all the money gets allocated out to whoever. And we've done a few properties like that. You can wait 2 months, you can wait 6 months, you can wait 9 months, but the money does drop in eventually from the solicitors. And we also had a small director's loan account, director's loan, that had to be put back in. Now, what that meant was that bumped us over the VAT threshold by about, say, 5 or 8 grand. Not a great deal, but enough. So all of our in-house accounts were kept on desk diaries and paperwork and files. Now that would go into the accountant, and they would sort it out over a few months, and they would let us know what we needed to pay. Now, like I said, a few things were going on, and it wasn't until November that the accountant got hold of us and said, "Hi, you've had a really good year." I was like, cool. You also need to register for VAT back in April. I was like, oh, not so cool. Because let me tell you, that was middle of November. And if I've got all my fingers still in count, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. That's 8 months. 8 months where we had to pay VAT on everything that we turned over, but I hadn't been charging VAT. Now, let's just say for a couple of days, I was slightly upset about the whole process. And I thought, oh, can we get away with it? Can we register now? Bottom line, no. Okay. Saw the accountant, you have to register from April. Okay. April. Now, I quickly worked out in my head, not in my fingers. I haven't got enough fingers for that. Okay. I quickly worked out in my head that I was expecting a 15 grand bill. Now, the government don't normally let you get away with anything, so I was expecting some late registration fees, I was expecting some late filing fees, and then I was expecting an accountant fee, which I kind of just rounded up to 20 grand. So 20 grand. I also then at the same time was thinking in my head, right, we have a lot of domestic customers, their price next year is going to have to go up by 20%. That's going to wipe out quite a few of them because I wasn't expecting them to pay it. And here's another little bonus. It takes about a month for you to get your VAT registration number, and in that period you can't charge VAT on your work. If you haven't got a number, you can't charge the VAT. Now the question I hear you all asking is, what happened? How much did I pay? How did it all work out? But before I tell you, it'd be great if you could like the video if you're this far in, and if you want to find out more ways of losing money, or maybe not, do the old subscribe button and you'll catch more videos that I put out. Cheers. So after a few weeks of calming down, doing some research, looking at figures, let me tell you where I ended up. I had a couple of things going for me that helped the process and bring that figure down. First one, I'd done quite a bit of work for commercial properties. Commercial properties are able to claim the VAT back, so I got hold of them and I let them all know that due to an accounting error, we were backdated for VAT from April, and that I'd be sending them a VAT-only invoice for all the work that I'd done in that year, in that financial year, and we'd be grateful if you could pay the VAT-only invoice. Every one of them, in various times, some paid within a couple of weeks, some paid within a couple of months, they all said, yeah, great, we'll pay that. So that was sorted. That brought the figure down. The second thing that really helped was when you register for VAT, you're able to claim VAT back on all plant and machinery you still own. I think it's 4 or 5 years. So anything that I bought new, or I had a VAT invoice for plant, machinery or equipment that I still own, that was still an asset for the company, I was able to go back and claim the VAT back. Now, for most companies, if you register for VAT on time, that's a nice little bonus. Basically, you get all that VAT back, which I presume helps kind of absorb the cost of becoming VAT registered for any customers you might lose, all the paperwork and all the fees and all that. That would cover it, and you'd have a couple of grand up. Luckily for me, in that period, I bought quite a few bits of kit. I bought some ride-on brush cutters, some mowers, quite a few edge trimmers, I bought a trailer, I bought a fair bit of stuff, and all those receipts with all those VAT figures were added together. They came off my VAT bill. Thirdly, everything that I had bought, fuel, materials, within this financial year, I was then also able to take that off the final VAT bill. So how much did I end up paying? Now, originally, in my head, I'd worked out roughly 20 grand with what I owed, fines, accountant fees, and all that. 20 grand. And although I would have been able to pay it out of the business, it would have been a sad little day when I sent that 20 grand over, and it would have wiped out that year. That year would have been a complete waste of time. The figure came in, and if you want to drop it in the comments before we go any further, drop your guesses in. All in, with what I owed for VAT and what I owe the accountant for sorting everything out. Drum roll for an upsetting day, transferring money. 6 grand. 6,000 pound, which kind of, yeah, I was quite happy with it. For a bill that I didn't want, I was quite happy with that bill. 6 grand, sorted it. So what's happened since I've been registered for VAT? What happened after I found out that we were going to be registered for VAT is this. From the middle of November, all my winter work that I had booked in, I looked at them all, and the jobs that I knew I couldn't do without adding that VAT on, I got hold of the customer and said, listen, we're VAT registered, or we're going to be VAT registered. Your bill is going to be 20% more. Let me know if you want it done or if you don't want it done. Your bill's going to be 20% more, and then I'll reissue that invoice showing that that 20% is VAT when I get my VAT number. Most of them were fine. So we're well into winter now, December, January, and a lot of our work is regular private garden maintenance. And this kind of whole VAT period came, I think, at the right time, because I wanted to get rid of quite a few. I had quite a few of historical customers. They were break-even jobs. By the time we got there, by the time we did the work for what we were charging, they weren't really worth doing. And I knew that I was doing too much. This running around doing lots of mow, blow and go gardens, cutting the lawns in at the van, off you go. After a while, they're quite difficult on the body, and they don't pay. Some of them don't pay what you should be earning. Like I say, bread and butter, break-even jobs rather than payday jobs. So I thought I'd lose half of my customers, easily half, because 20% is quite a lot. So in the winter, everyone had a letter saying, hi, just to let you know, when we start your maintenance back in March, April, whenever it stops raining. Did it stop raining? You're going to be 20% extra because there's VAT on top. There'll be no increase in your actual price for your garden. So say you were £30, it's not going to go to 32 plus VAT. We're just going to charge you the VAT on top. Yes, I know it's a pain, but there we go. I would say, off the top of my head, 1, 2, I think 5 customers said no, it's too expensive. Those 5 customers were ones that I definitely wanted to get rid of. Out of the 5, one thought about it for a week. They came back and said, £35 to 42, you do a good service, carry on. So there we go. In the end, it was about 4 customers. So that was all right. I actually wanted to lose quite a few more. But since then, VAT registration. And bear in mind, I'm waffling now going on, but if you're interested in VAT, here we go. It has been the best thing that happened recently. Being VAT registered makes my life so much easier. Makes the company so much more reputable, I think, and I wish I'd done it years ago. Now, if you're a sole trader and you're kind of way under VAT registration, don't get involved in it. Stay out of it. If you're close to it, if you're thinking about it, if you're growing the business, just register. The benefits, I find, are great for these reasons. Now, if I'm doing a job and a customer says to me, Nath, can you get 2 ton of topsoil, level this out and chuck some turf on it? Before, I would have to kind of like say, oh yeah, order the stuff up, let me know when you've got it. Then I'd have to jiggle my jobs around to go and do it. And if they'd order too much, too little, I'd have to sort it out. Complete ball ache. Now I get a job. I'm like, yeah, what do you want doing? Yeah, I can do that. I arrange the stuff. I quote for the right amount. I measure it out. I get the stuff delivered when I want it. Job done. So that's easy. Domestic jobs, you go and quote for a garden tidy, a garden clearance, you say it's so much plus VAT. They kind of used to paying VAT on garage bills and electricians and plumbers and everything else that goes on in kind of daily life. They used to paying VAT on it. We're no different. They don't like it, but it's an extra cost. They pay it. Fine. Commercial properties, all those types of things. Once you're VAT registered, you seem more reputable, that one. And they look at you in a different light, and they don't care. They pay the VAT, no skin off their nose, because they claim it back. So that's been great. And generally, just when you look at tools, when you look at a mower, and it's £1,500, right? But without VAT is what, 12, or whatever the figure is, right? You're thinking, that's nice. Now, I'm in the early stages of kind of being VAT registered, so I still look at the price and think, oh, I'm saving that much. I mean, so it's just great. Your fuel and everything you buy, claim your VAT back. Yes, every 3 months, okay, we're running zero now, so our kind of accounts are all on zero. Makes life so much easier as long as you can work the thing. Tash, the wife, does that. Good as gold. Thanks, Tash. She looks after all that. She loves figures. Every 3 months, okay, it's checked by the accountant. They submit it. They tell us what our kind of VAT due is. So you take off everything that you've bought. Everything you've bought that's VAT rateable comes off what you've kind of turned over. And the figure that they want is that. Now, your accountant might charge you 50 to 100 quid to work all that out and register it 4 times a year. Sorted. And as long as you know that your business bank account, you've got a certain figure there, so much of it you're going to have to keep to pay your VAT bill, you're easy. We don't split it, we just chuck it all in one go because I don't spend all the money in the business account. But being VAT registered has been great. And yeah, I think if you're anything over 60, 70 grand. I know the VAT threshold this year has gone up to 90 grand. But I think if you're close to it, I would just register. I've got to be honest. If you've got a good accountant, if you're doing plenty of work, if you're turning over money and you want to make a go of it, register for VAT. Just do it, and it makes life a whole lot easier. I know there's a whole debate about everyone should pay it, or do you mean it should be 12 grand or whatever your tax-free zone is, whatever you can earn. Do you mean people say, oh, once you get to 10, 15, 20 grand, everyone should pay it, or it should be a lot higher? There's so many debates about it, right? But I'm in it now, and customers don't really notice the difference. Yeah, my lawn cuts went from 30 to 36, 35, 42, do you mean 40, 48, all that. You can work the figures out, it's 20%. Yeah, wish I'd done it years ago. So that's it. That's my VAT story. I think that's pretty much it anyway. Yeah, slightly embarrassing in the fact of I was expecting to pay a £20,000 VAT bill. In the end, it came down to about 6. And yeah, it is what it is, as they say. Right, let me know your thoughts on VAT. Did you miss the threshold? How did your customers react? And is anybody still listening? Anyway, if you are still listening, you're going to get a double thumbs up, because it's getting quite steamy in here now somewhere. Right, I hope you're all doing great wherever you are. I've had some great comments lately from all over the world. It's nice to chat, even if it's in comments, to people in Australia and Timbuktu, wherever you live. Really interesting. Right, thanks for checking in. I hope you all having a great week. What day is it with me? It's Thursday. Right, yeah, I'll catch you all later, and thanks for checking in. Cheers.